Hey guys, this is Tick here, and for the next part of the Halloween thing, I'm going to be reading some Creepypasta, mainly Sonic.exe. I'm actually recording this after I read it, and I'm just going to say right now, I am not going to read any more Creepypastas out loud. I can't stomach horror very well, and I got an overreactive imagination, so most of the time through this, I was actually looking over my shoulder and getting paranoid, so I'm not going to be reading the Creepypasta again, but hey, have fun. I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played a glitchy or hacked game before, though I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I like how you get to explore the towns in it. Until I noticed, out of my peripheral vision, that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox as usual, and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case for computers, and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note and realised it was from my dear friend Kyle, let's just call him that, whom I haven't heard from in 2 weeks. I know that because I recognise his handwriting. Though what was weird is how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy, and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did it in a hurry. This is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late, and I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. If you don't destroy this CD, he'll come for you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc and you'll destroy him, but do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please. Kyle. Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me to do. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disc and it looked like any other computer CDR disc, except it had black marker on it written Sonic.exe. It was very much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the rank of CD, I was actually excited. I wanted to play it since I am a Sonic fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game and I was like, awesome! Because, like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed that was out of place is that when I pressed start, there was a split second where I saw the image turn into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying, before cutting to black. I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened. The title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was now Sega 666. The water had turned red, like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic. But the freakiest thing was that split-second frame of Sonic. His eyes were pitch black, bleeding, with 2 glowing red dots staring right at me. And his smile had stretched wider up on the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about that image when I saw it. I figured it could have just been a glitch and forgot about it. After the cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. And then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic 3 popped up. I was like, what the fuck? What's this doing in the first Sonic game? Anyway, I noticed something off. The background was the dark, cloudy sky of Bad Stardust Speedway from Sonic CD, and there were only 3 save files. The music was the creepy Caverns of Winter music from Earthbound, only it was extended, and seemed to have been in reverse. The image for the save file where you see the preview level you're in was just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out more was the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and, to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now, I was sure something was up. I mean, how can you play Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? Then I realised this wasn't a glitchy game, it was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked like a hacked game. It was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. Or at least I tried not to be. I told myself that it was just a hacked game and there was nothing wrong with that. Anyway, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked File 1, chose Tails, and got started. The game froze for about 5 seconds, and then I heard a creepy, pixelated laugh that sounded an awful lot like that Kefka guy from Final Fantasy, before going to black. The screen stayed black for 10 seconds or more. Then it showed the typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes with different shades of red, and the text only showed Hill, Act 1. The screen faded in and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the green hill zone from Act 1. The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails start running, as you would in any classic Sonic game. What was odd was that as Tails was running around the level, there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into slow, deep tones, very slowly as I kept going. I suddenly saw something, and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals, lying dead on the ground, bleeding. And that was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face I'd never seen him have before. So I had him move along, and he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals. As Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried as the music lowers, he moved past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they had all died. They looked like someone had killed them in rather gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanging on a tree by what appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs chopped off. And a duck had its eyes gouged out, his throat slit. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. A minute passed after the music stopped. Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there, on the other side of the screen, with his back against Tails, with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious to Tails' presence. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move, so this had to have been a cutscene. Suddenly I began to have a growing feeling of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger. I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black, with those glowing red dots. Just like that title image, though there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black, and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds. Then white text appeared, forming a message saying,
"Hello. Do you want to play with me?"
At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me. When I was taken to a different level with the level title now saying, Hide and Seek. This time I was in the Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me, made frantic gestures to me, as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed right on the arrow key as hard as I could, and made him run as fast as he could. Pixelated version of that creepy theme where you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from Sonic Adventure 2 was playing as I made Tails trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly I heard that creepy laugh again. That awful Kefka laugh. 10 seconds after I'd started helping Tails run through the forest, And I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping up everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful drowning jingle as I heard Sonic behind Tails, slowly gaining on him. Flying! Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. The flying pose his sprite made looked very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic, and he had the black and red eyes again. Only this time, he had a more deranged looking grin on his face. Looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving the poor little foxes that gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was very upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared myself up a bit. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come down those blackened eyes as Sonic's grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails. Right before the screen went black, there was a loud screeching noise that lasted only 5 seconds. The text returned, only this time it said,
"You're too slow. Want to try again?"
And then that god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No. He couldn't have. He and Tails were supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook off the shock as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box, but in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur has gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore this, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again. It stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time, the level said,
"You can't run."
I was really freaked out now, but I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack, or some kind of sick, twisted joke, or anything really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of the scrap brain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had that dark reddish colour, but it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like Jugger's theme right after you beat Pokey after Earthbound. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did, though not as much. Much rather he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails, and looked as if he wasn't sure about what was going on. But I made him move anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static. A couple of times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something is going to happen to Knuckles. He looked autistic, walking down this blood-stained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black red eyes, and the red static appeared again. When the static vanished, it showed nothing but a black screen, with the text saying,
"Found you."
I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Anyway, the red static came again. Then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked as if he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And at this time, the high-pitched squealing from Silent Hill 1's final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't. Honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared behind Knuckles in what appeared to be pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic. But Sonic vanished before I could even line up hit. A terrible laugh went off again. And Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again. I made him punch him. Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knee, clutching his head, sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. Then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles and the screen went black, with another started screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds. Another text message appears.
"So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree?"
What the hell was what is going on? I started to think that Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time the second file box with Knuckles in the TV screen. His red fur was darkened to a reddish grey, His dreadlocks were now dripping with blood and his eyes were black and bleeding too. And he had the look of sadness on his face. I began to think that these were actual characters trapped in those TV screens and those save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap. Which I hadn't. Because then I began to see the most disturbing nightmare ever. I was in the pitch black darkness, though I was under the light given off by a lamp that was hung high above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like,
"Help us!"
and
"Why did you give us to him? Run away before he gets to you too."
their cries died out as I heard Sonic laugh. His laugh sounded a lot like a distorted Kefka laugh.
"We had a lot of fun playing with Kid. Just like your friend Kyle. Though he didn't last long."
I was scared, looking around for the source of the voice.
"It won't be long before you join him, and all my other friends."
I saw him walking towards me, flicking in and out several directions.
"You can't run, Kid. You're in my world now. Just like the others."
When he grabbed me, I saw his bleeding black and red eyes, grinning face. I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought it was wacky, playing as Robotnik, but anyway, the level title appeared again. This time it said nothing, which I found really freaky. This time it was some kind of hallway. Didn't look like anything from the classic Sonic games, though it had the pixelated style. The floor was shining checkered. The walls were a dark glazed purple with animated candlelights and a few dark bloodstains here and there. The music was oddly playing. A piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. It was the song that played in Hill Act 1, only it wasn't in reverse. Robotnik didn't look exactly nervous like Tails or Knuckles, but he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a little animation when I just left him standing. He turns his head left and right at least twice and then just shrugs at me, as if he had no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen, I had Robotnik continue onwards. He did his usual running animation. You know, when you beat him at the end of a classic Sonic game, you chase him, as we continued going through the hallway. Then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downwards. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself. Though I pressed onwards. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed that the walls had gone darker, more reddish. The red torch is now an eerie blue. Then we landed in another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we head down the flight of stairs downwards. This was much longer, it took at least 1 full minute. And then I heard that horrible Kefka laugh again. Then the music slowly faded until it was quiet. As it did, the walls turned more dark red. The torches were a black flame now. When Robotnik landed on the third hallway, I noticed that he now looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped right through with Robotnik, the same as he did with Knuckles. And then the red static. The red static lasted about 15 seconds, and then it showed me the most unpleasant image. The image showed a hyper-realistic Sonic standing in the darkness, where you could only see his face while his head and torso faded into black. And when I say hyper-realistic, I mean it looked so real you could actually see the lines in his blue fur, as if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His face. Oh God! He had the most horrifying smile I'd ever seen. And that's saying something considering I saw the image at the start of the game. His eyes were wide and black and once again crying blood, which also looked hyper-realistic. There were 2 small glowing red dots in those black eyes, staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide, demonic, literally stretched the side of his face like a Cheshire cat, except Sonic had fangs. Very sharp fangs, much like the werewolf's teeth, except much more vicious looking, somewhat yellowish, and from the look of it, had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips, and fangs if he had eaten some animals. He stared at that gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it. It felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me. That face. It took just 10 seconds for it to etch into my brain for good. Then the screen flickered with red stack again, 3 times. The third time I heard the Kefka laugh, except this time it sounded distorted. Demonic even. I went back to the image again, except this time, the text again. Although it was messed up. But it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I looked at since I had the game.
I am God!
It was when I read that message, while looking at Sonic when it hit me, I realized, there and then, this Sonic was a monster. A pure evil, sadistic, all-powered, nightmarish, demented monster. And all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, are just his little toys. And the game was his very gateway into his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victim was trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the scream, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literally spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again. This time much louder and distorting, so loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears at the red static screech for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped and showed nothing but a black screen. As I stared, there staring at the black screen, one last text came up.
Ready for round 2, Tom?
A Kafka laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was right behind me. Played again 3 times as I looked at that text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu, and this time the third save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned a dull grey, his moustache drooped and had blackened, his glasses broken, blood was coming from them. He had a mere dead-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik and cried a bit. I pitied them for the agony they're going through. They were forever trapped within the game, forever tormented by that horrid hedgehog and always will be. Then the computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. It sat there for maybe 25 seconds, horrified at what had just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortured people who play his game in more ways than one. Then when he gets bored, he drags you into the game, literally drags you to hell, where he can play with you always, as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. If I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice behind me, like a whisper.
Try to keep things interesting for me, Tom.
I turned around to see where the voice was coming from, and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with bloodstains under his eyes.